a plot in Kanchiria just now.
You just have to, Kanchiria is a state. Kanchiria is a republic in inverted commas. What we have done is to try and build our story and, ensure that we remain focused on what we think is important for our people. Understanding very well that our narrative is very important.
Yes.
We may not be, the most developed place in this country, but then what we have done is to look at and answer the question, is a glass half full or half empty?
Right.
What do we have within Kanchiria that we can use to showcase and begin to build from there? So you're welcome.
No, I think after this, I will follow you to get some more details. But as I said, good to have you. And just for your information, sir, we'll open phone lines sometime during the show, just to give an opportunity to the listeners and viewers to call in and perhaps give you encouragement, challenge you, and also ask questions. To get started, maybe just to take the chip off the cake, tell us in your view the landscape. Political landscape. Let's look at a broader view, not just from the constituency. The political landscape prevailing right now in the country. In your view, how would you describe it?
I think that the current political landscape in this country has a story. And the story is that of a country returning to multipartism in 1991. And over the years, we have seen the MMD, then we saw the PF, and now we have the UPND in office.
Right.
Clearly, we have made strides in terms of promoting plural politics, but again, the space remains a highly contested terrain.
Right.
And I love to say that politics is a contested space. It's a close contact sport. And the last 4 years, 5 years,
right.
August 2021 to date, has seen, number one, the fragmentation of the opposition, the disunity within the opposition, the failure to rise to the occasion by the opposition and begin to provide the sort of alternatives and the checks and balances to the ruling party. We've also seen the ruling party playing politics,
right,
and also ensuring that they exploit the weaknesses within the opposition. Today, if you ask me, we have a political landscape that becomes very difficult to ascertain as to who is providing the alternatives,
right,
and who is offering a viable and an alternative blueprint to what the ruling party is running with.
Right.
And I think that is the situation we found ourselves in. At one point I said that with every change of leadership guard, and especially when you're going to an election and the ruling party loses power, there's certain dynamics that just kick in. Once those dynamics kick in, if you don't pay particular attention to what should be a critical analysis of what went wrong,
right,
what didn't we do right, where do we need to improve, you miss a mark. And so you'll be singing out of sync as opposed to focusing on what is it that the people of Zambia are looking for,
right,
in terms of alternatives.
Right.
A strong opposition is very important for any democracy. But you must also understand that much as a strong democracy is very important for a democracy, it is not in the best interest of the ruling party to have a strong opposition.
Right.
It's just how real we must become with these issues. Thank you. It's just how real we must become with these issues, that the ruling party's interest is not to have a strong and viable opposition.
Right.
We saw this when the MMD took power in 1991, and what MMD did using the system to fragment then UNIP. And After UNIP was thrown into disarray, remember we went into the 1996 election, and late President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda had come out of retirement saying that he would recontest the 1996 election. The system at the time, going also to the extent of going to parliament, changed the laws and said that he was not a Zambian. And remember that they brought in the parentage clause,
yes.
And then there was some court ruling and he was declared stateless. We saw that with MMD. When PF came into power, President Rupiah Banda said that he was coming out of retirement and he would challenge the then Patriotic Front. The same thing happened, the same script happened. Today we have an MMD, or is it whatever it's now called, a political party that is a shadow of its former,
former self.
Former self.
Yeah.
You cannot believe that you had a party that came on the, on very strong winds, as the winds of change, and the hour has come, etc., and bank all kind of stuff. Down the line, you can hardly find any office or any structure branded MMD.
Right.
When the UPND won in 2021, the same script began to play out. And the same dynamics are at play as we speak. I have said to colleagues, and sometimes at the risk of being called names, but what I've said is the same things and the dynamics that killed UNIP and killed MMD will eventually kill the Patriotic Front. Now, in Bemba, we say that you are better off dealing with a brutal truth and change gear than bury yourselves and bury your heads in the sand, as a proverbial ostrich would always do.
Right.
Detaching from what is obtaining on the ground.
Right.
A few months into a general election, you are that fragmented, and the largest political party has no leader. That also takes a lot from what quality democratic competition should look like, but it also goes to advantage the ruling party.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is where we are.
Right.
And also the failure to unite and rally behind an agenda.
Yeah. So I like that. Maybe we can just start. We can just as we are talking about the opposition, we can maybe quickly touch on the happenings in the Patriotic Front, a party to which you belong, a party to which your position as MP is, stamped on. We are in an election year, and even as we speak today, the party is embroiled in disputes. We don't even know who the president is right now.
Yeah.
One side will say, I have those documents in my closet, but then this infighting. Where does that put you as a member of parliament within this party? And then what's your, how do you then see yourself as we approach August?
It puts every member of parliament of the Patriotic Front in a very tricky position.
Right.
And I can say it without any fear of contradiction, that there's no member of parliament today in the Patriotic Front who knows on which ticket they'll contest or recontest the next election. The signs are there for all to see that unless the issues are resolved miraculously, then we would have the Patriotic Front on the ballot paper. The chances are very high that August 2026 will not see the Patriotic Front on the ballot paper.
Yeah.
The option is then to say, can we find a special purpose vehicle? Now, in finding a special purpose vehicle, for example, you settle for Party A.
Right.
As a special purpose vehicle. You're basically renting a party. You are going to have your councillors elected on Party A. Your council chairpersons and mayors elected on Party A. Your members of parliament, those that would win, elected on Party A. When they go into office, they're not going into office as PF, but in Party A. They go as Party A.
Yeah.
What that means is that PF would have then ceased to exist. PF would have died.
Right.
Because the structures would have then moved to this party A. So it's one thing to talk about a special purpose vehicle, but it's also another thing to be honest about the implications of these particular decisions.
Right.
If PF goes with FDD as a special purpose vehicle, what we're saying is that post 2026 August, the PF would have then ceased to exist. That's a brutal truth.
Right.
Your elected officials, councillors, council chairpersons, mayors, MPs will be FDD and not PF. FDD as a special purpose vehicle will then begin to mobilize and strengthen itself. And who is going to have time to start talking about
Patriotic Front?
Patriotic Front. So then people must be, in looking at the options, people must be very honest and say, are we getting PF into a merger of some sort with FDD so that PF becomes FDD? Because beyond the election, there's then no Patriotic Front to talk about.
Right.
The other aspect you also want to look at is, unfortunately, we have a political landscape devoid of ideology. And this is one of the misfortunes, for lack of a better term, one of the demerits, or one of the saddest things to have ever happened to our democracy, that our politics around the big man syndrome, that we pay very little attention to ideology. So, the Patriotic Front, to which I belong, was founded on a pro-poor agenda. Lower taxes, more money in people's pockets, and then you create more jobs. That is the ideology of the Patriotic Front. In fact, when you go to the Patriotic Front constitution, what it tells you is that PF is actually a center-left party in terms of ideology. It's a party identifying with the workers. It's a party identifying with the poorest of our people. It's a party that says, can we lift the millions of our people out of poverty? So even when we are looking at special purpose vehicles,
right,
it must be very clear that there's no dilution to PF's ideology. Otherwise, with all the marriages of inconvenience, you begin to lose yourselves. And before you realize it, you've become something totally different.
Yeah. Having said that, how has this affected the structures? I think the Patriotic Front, I want us just to touch on this before we move, because I'd like you to talk about Kashggi and also just generally the governance and rule of law under the UPND. But I want to find out, with that said, how have the structures been affected, the PF? Because PF was known to have very strong grassroots countrywide. How has this position been affected by the issues happening at the high, top level leadership?
So the structures are in a sense of want of sense of direction. At one moment, the structures were moved into Uka. So they went to Uka. And at some point, the structures were taken to Tonse. And then from Tonse, at some point, we had Pastor Chanda's party used as a vehicle. The dynamics are such that the structures are in need of a clear sense of direction.
Right.
You cannot have structures remaining so vibrant when you don't provide them with a clear set of leaders. Leadership provides that sort of direction. In the absence of that sort of direction, what we have is this set of disillusionment. Where do we go? Who are we for? And in the midst of all this confusion, then you have all these disciplinary letters being written left, right, and center, and we don't know what will be the final outcome of those disciplinary letters. You have announcements of members of parliament who exercise their mandate to vote on the Bill 7, you're expelled from the party.
Right.
And whether or not in the wisdom of those who are making such pronouncements, if it's in their wisdom, that is the best way to strengthen a party. And if you ask me, I hold very contrary views that is not how you strengthen a party. And so you have all these dynamics at play, and it's a situation where, my brother, if you've walked into the labor ward and you witness what is called inchila, a breech pregnancy is where the child fails to lock in the manner that the child must lock so that delivery is smooth.
Right.
When you have a child in a different position and it then becomes very difficult and you need experienced birth attendants to deal with that situation. Sadly, we're at a point where you can look around and see that there's no birth attendant to help the Patriotic Front come out of its current mess.
Interesting. Let's go to the constituency. Over the 4 years, Kashggi, I think Kashggi has been put on the map due to your performance as its MP. How have you managed with all the issues that you've spoken about so far with regards to the party that you belong to, total confusion, but as an MP under that party, you've stood out to deliver what looks like good performance. I've never been to Kashggi, so all I see is what you post on social media. So I believe that's what. How have you managed to do all this despite you being from opposition and that opposition being the Patriotic Front, which is in total confusion?
I made a very conscious decision when I got elected as Member of Parliament,
right,
and the Patriotic Front lost power. The dynamics were very different. I was moving into office as Member of Parliament for the first time.
Right.
We had made certain undertakings to the people that would deliver and bring development closer to the people. And as fate would have it, the Patriotic Front lost power in 2021. I remember in December of 2021 having a conversation with the late President, Dr. Edgar Lungu, may so rest in peace, just expressing the state of disillusionment that I was in at the time. And I remember saying, sir, one of the things that I'm going to do is to do more of development work, and in terms of politics, I was going to disengage. And he understood where I was coming from,
right,
with my submission. And so I made that very conscious decision that the people of Kashggi deserved certain projects and certain services brought closer to where they were. That became the mainstay of my identity as Member of Parliament, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
And so from August, September, we took oath of office, I think in September of 2021. We found the first CDF, which was, I think, about 1.6.
Right.
And immediately we said we're going to hit the ground running, because that was very important for our people. And I said that I was not going to join those who sought to politicize the CDF. For the simple reason that governance is a going concern.
Right.
Political parties will change, political players will change, but governance must continue. And we must not use politics to frustrate development. So, in my judgment, right or wrong, was that I would place what I called development above politics.
Right.
That became my focus. Excuse me. I remember receiving calls from different players and colleagues in the party accusing me of branding the CDF, which was UPND's baby. But I said to the contrary. The CDF, as a matter of background, was an initiative, as a matter of fact, was pioneered by one of Kanchibia's former members of parliament.
Right.
Then Honorable Newton Inguni, who moved a motion in parliament that members of parliament needed to have an allocation to allow them attend to emergencies within the constituency.
Right.
And so CDF, as we know it, was pioneered by a former member of parliament for Kanchibia. And what the UPND did was to expand scope, but also to ensure that it becomes a critical component of decentralization.
Right.
In all fairness and in being honest with the people of Kanchibia, mine was to say that this CDF is what we need to attend to our roads, our bridges, our schools, our health posts, and to ensure that we use part of this CDF to also speak to the agriculture sector, which to this date is Kanchibia's mainstay of our economy.
Right.
If you go in Kanchibia today, you find that the grant facility under CDF is channeled towards agriculture. We use that component to give farming inputs, as in fertilizer and seed, to our farmers on Oton Fisip. And I hope that one of these days, Power FM and other media institutions, we can do a documentary
Right.
on how that particular initiative has worked for our people. How we wish that that basket could be expanded. Under the previous farming season or CDF season, we got the loan component and took it towards agriculture. And we're looking forward to seeing how our farmers will perform after the harvest.
Right.
I looked at the need for me to reach out to the executive in dealing with some of the major challenges the people of Kanchibia had been battling with over the years. Certain crossing points on major rivers, Luitikila River, Kanchibia River, these crossing points or these bridges had been missing or had been needed, or the people of Kanchibia had made consistent cries with all previous legislations, made representation with all previous members of parliament.
Right.
We needed a bridge on Luitikila River, what is called Kaunda Bridge. We needed a bridge on Aluni on Kanchibia River. Excuse me. I'm just recovering from a cold.
No, it's fine.
And we needed to have a bridge on Kanchibia River, on Luitikila River. Since 1964, these things had not been done. And I said I would adopt a pragmatic approach. The pragmatic approach I adopted was one where I could go to the Minister of Infrastructure and engage him outside Parliament, I could go to the head of state and say, the people of Kashggi need this bridge. We've not had it since 1964. That sort of lobbying paid off. Within 2 years, going into third year, we were able to work on 2 bridges which had never been done since 1964. As we speak, we are working on one of our major roads called the Chamba-Chinkobo Road.
Right.
The last time this road was attended to was under Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
Wow.
And this road provides you the gateway into Chilubi district, Lunga district by way of water. The works being done on this particular road, once completed, will benefit the people of Kashggi and not Sandy Chanda.
Right.
We have used the CDF to put together and begin developing the CBD. Kashggi is a constituency and a district at the same time. 8,800 kilometers squared. When you take Lusaka district, 6 constituencies, 360 kilometers squared, Lusaka district goes into Kashggi district 24 times.
Wow.
Kashggi as a district goes into Rwanda 3 times. Kashggi as a constituency goes into Swaziland, the Swatini, 2 times. This is a constituency in dire need of development. And I said, I was not going to use politics to take away from the people of Kashggi. As we speak, we have a fully fledged civic center constructed with the CDF funds. We have a fully fledged National Assembly office constructed using the CDF funds. When I went in as Member of Parliament, the police were operating from a tent. A few months into my being Member of Parliament, police officers were withdrawn from Kashggi, and so we had 0 police presence in Kashggi for the longest of time. Today, the police have a permanent structure constructed under CDF where they're operating from. Today, we are constructing, and almost I think about 95%, finishing accommodation for the police officers. We are constructing the office of the president, OP as we know it, using CDF funds. The reason is simple. This is a district. This is a constituency. In it being a district and a constituency, we need certain infrastructure to be in place. In the next 5 years, the people of Kashggi do not have to go to Mpika for them to access certain services.
Right.
Those services must be within Kashggi. And we said the opportunity we've got is the Constituency Development Fund. Yes, we are going to lobby for capital projects, and yes, we are going to reach out to cooperating partners like the World Bank helping us with the Youth Skills Training Center.
Right.
Yes, we are going to reach out to the church like the Catholic Church helping us with a boarding school under Luchembe. But over and beyond, we say that the CDF presented that opportunity, and I said to myself, I'll put politics aside and focus on development.
Right. Putting politics aside and focusing on development kind of put you in a position where some sectors actually thought you're pro-UPND because you kind of stepped out.
Right.
You've given context when you had a meeting with the late president that, look, I'll focus on development of my people and not politics. So maybe that's clarified. However, I want you to not just tell us overall. It's been 4 years, we're in the 5th year, going towards elections. How do you assess the President H0ST's governance, or should I say first term in office? We'll touch on a few talking points, but maybe we can start with the issue of, since we're talking about what you've done for Kashggi, let's start with economic management. How do you assess President H0ST's first term under that economic management space? Maybe you can just summarize what your state is on that.
I think that I'll give a very fair and balanced assessment.
Yes.
And maybe before I get into this sort of assessment, let me just close the previous submission I was making.
Yeah.
That the challenge with our political space is that it is highly partisan, and sometimes we have seen ourselves spending so much time on politics, focusing on form over substance.
Right.
Where I stand, someone can call me whatever they want to call me. There are those who've called me Nonyi Sanguka, is a sellout,
Yeah.
etc., etc., etc. If what I have done for the people of Kashggi over the last 5 years is what it means to be a sellout, if that is what it means to be a Sanguka, if what I have done on the floor of Parliament, speaking for the councillors across the country to have their conditions of service improved, moving a private member's motion that succeeded and saw an increment in what the councillors were getting at 2021 and what they're getting today.
Right.
If speaking for the Zambian workers and pushing the NAPSA reform private members motion, speaking for over 1.3 million, 1.4 million Zambians is what it means to be a Sanguka, then I'm guilty. If speaking for the miners like I do, if speaking for the civil servants like I do, is what it means to be a sellout and a Sanguka, then I'm guilty.
Right.
One thing that one will not take away from me is that I know why I went into politics for. I know what I stand on in terms of politics. What do I stand on? What is my ideological identity? My ideological identity is center-left. In it being center-left, in terms of disposition, I'm someone who believes in the proper agenda. With regard to the proper agenda, this is Chanda who, if the people of Kashggi renews my mandate in the next election, will continue to speak for the workers, the miners, the civil servants, the teachers, the nurses, the security guards, the farmers.
Right.
I thought that was important for me to put into context. Now, when we look at the President Hakainde Hichilema's first 5 years in office, August 2021 to date, one would then assess his performance across governance, economic management, social policy, and political culture. When we talk about economic management, what is evident and what President Hakainde Hichilema has been able to do is to prioritize the macroeconomic stability over populist spending, removing the subsidies, etc.
Right.
He's also managed to successfully negotiate the debt restructuring, including engagement with international creditors. That is a plus that we have to give to him. Re-engaging international partners, the IMF and the World Bank and bilateral donors, that has also gone to signal that confidence has been restored in Zambia's economic management. What he has also managed to do is to stabilize the inflation trends as well as the currency volatility when you compare to the pre-2021 era. This he has managed to do very, very well. But when you look at the criticisms would include that the general populace still feel that the cost of living remains very high. Fuel still remains very high. The cost of electricity remains very high. And the cost of commodities, food prices, remains very high. This is one thing that the president must be able to deal with.
Right.
And then you also remember that economic recovery takes time But this economic recovery is expected by the citizens to trickle the benefits. So where are the benefits of this economic recovery? And therein lies the need for more institutionalized communication.
Right.
Speaking to the people and managing people's expectations that yes, we're managing the economy. This is an economic recovery program that we're working on, and the benefits may not just be seen right here and now. It's going to be a process. And what sort of benefits, for example, would urban Zambia look forward to after the economic recovery? What sort of benefits would Zambians look forward to in the rural side of the country? So the communication gaps, in my view, on economic reforms has also created public frustration. There's every need for communication to be very direct, segment the population as is, and be able to explain what strides have been made and at what point do we expect economic benefits to trickle to the ordinary person in this country.
Right. Let's touch on the governance. His assessment towards governance and rule of law over the years, the first term on issues of rule of law. You would say, from my standpoint, I would probably say that it's a much better environment compared to when it was, or how it was under PF. There are some few areas where, of course, when you follow what is trending, most recent Bill 7, to which you actually supported, despite along the way having made a statement that it's something that you wouldn't accept. But tell us overall, governance and rule of law under the president, how has it been in your assessment?
What did I say? Something out
let me find the quote, but maybe if you can generally speak about the governance and rule of law. Yeah, as I find, I'll quote you verbatim as I find your quote, so that you can
put context.
Of course, but maybe just generally for now. In fact, let me just read it for now. Prior to voting on Bill 7, you were quoted in the media as saying that if the bill is passed, it has the potential to narrow the country's democratic space. So what made you decide to rubber stamp the bill? Maybe
let's start from there.
Yeah, correct. Then you can talk about the governance and rule of law.
Very important. So remember that when the bill was brought to Parliament, the bill was in its raw form.
Right.
And I was very clear about the things I was not agreed with.
Right.
Of the things I was not agreed about with Bill 7 was, number one, making it impossible for independent members of parliament to run. Because what it meant was, for you to run as an independent member of parliament, you needed to resign from your political party 3 months before nomination.
Right.
Which could have meant that if Chanda wants to run as an independent member of parliament in August 2026, he would have to resign from the Patriotic Front in February of 2026, leaving the party without representation in the House from February up until May, when Parliament is dissolved.
Right.
Because you know very well that when you resign from your political party, you'd have triggered a vacancy in the National Assembly. Secondly, there were issues to do with getting political parties to have so much power in an event that a member of parliament is expelled from the party. The political party on which this particular member of parliament stood should be the one to just find someone and say, this is a person we have brought as an ex-member of parliament. Now, members of parliament are a creature of the masses. They are voted for by the people.
Right.
And even when a member of parliament is expelled, or there's death or there's resignation, the people themselves must have a say as to who represents them next. So when you put context, there were these issues that I was opposed to.
Right.
The other issue I was opposed to was getting ministers outside Parliament. And I said, getting ministers out of Parliament would take away representation as well as accountability, because the question then becomes, who do these ministers account to? They'll be accountable to the president and not the people.
Right.
When the government brought the bill to Parliament, they brought an amended bill. And what my concerns had been, and the things I was opposed to, the issues I singled out as issues that we were uncomfortable about had been taken care of.
Right.
So the amendment brought a refined bill without those issues that we had spoken against. So in terms of speaking to the quotation that you rightfully quoted, that spoke to the pre-amendment processes and not the post-amendment processes.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So having said that, in general terms, maybe if you answer my question, how would you assess the performance of the president under governance and rule of law in general?
I think under governance and rule of law, what the president has done is to restore emphasis on constitutionalism and the rule of law.
Right.
And then, as you rightfully cited, the president has managed to reduce overt political violence and intimidation. We just had the Chawama by-election. It's a by-election that I have kept away from for very obvious reasons, that the former member of parliament is someone that I relate to very, very closely,
right,
like my own young sister, and it's one of those by-elections which could have been avoided, but maybe that's a discussion for another day.
Right.
In terms of strengthening the judiciary, strengthening the civil service and the oversight institution, that has been done. In terms of improving Zambia's international standing on governance and democracy, that has been done. The criticism, however, has come in with what is perceived as selective enforcement of the law, particularly in corruption cases.
Right.
The perception that former PF leaders are being targeted and that those in government today are left to go scot-free. The second criticism is what is viewed as the slow reforms with regard to public institutions.
Right.
And the expectations Zambians had with regard to reforming some of these institutions. So expectations of rapid transformation sometimes would exceed the practical capacity. Change management is not always the easiest of things to do.
Right.
And so one has to tread very, very carefully. And so I think for me that would be a balanced approach, that in terms of constitutionalism and emphasis on the rule of law, that has been done, pushing an aggressive agenda and ensuring that the fight against corruption takes center stage, that has been done. In terms of strengthening the institutions like the judiciary, the civil service, etc., and oversight institutions, that has been done. But maybe we need to couple that up with more resource allocation. In terms of perception, when we come to the criticisms, the perception that the selective justice the selective enforcement of the rule of law. That is one area that has to be attended to. And again, at the end of the day, these are issues that will still bother and take us back to what are you communicating?
Right.
You know, and again, how are we dismantling this strong partisan mentality in this country? If Chanda is minister today and he happens to steal, and tomorrow he leaves power and is arrested for grand corruption,
right,
it mustn't be that Chanda was arrested because he was this minister in the former ruling party. If there's evidential proof, then the rule of law must kick in.
Right.
Because none of us is above the law.
Right.
I think that is what society expects.
Interesting. Perhaps we can open phone lines to give a chance, or maybe invite our listeners and viewers to contribute. You can call us on 0955 997 997. That is Amtel 0955 997 997. Airtel 0979 192 485. 0979 192 485. We have Honorable Chanda, Member of Parliament for Kashggi constituency, with us this morning. So 0955 997 997 or 0979 192 485. With what you've said, as we wait for callers to come through, perhaps maybe we hang on. We've got a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, let's pick up this other call. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Tuvulu, calling from Kitwe.
Mr. Chivulu from Kitwe, please go ahead. We've got Honorable Chanda in studio.
Yes, not Chivulu, Tuvulu.
Tuvulu.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Chanda, muksa kutampira po, mulino mwenso. Beniko nga binwelo mpundu, oyo mwenso mkwete, mula asuka sefishinka. Notisa kusoka shoketsa kwa tima language sokwati mulena kilisha wakateka. Ule mipusha lipe straightforward. Umutungu mshabukaye chechi musiaso, ule gumwena shani. Ngatabuwa mukasa ishile mwana mwino. Mwana buwa notisa mule shoka. Awe. Nebeni se straight. Efe atampilene chabinge sofine. Alasa mwenekela. Nwe straight. Chimbi. Mlanimba nyama by-election kwa kuchawa mayo ba president na wabombe shambe by-election ipisheni kwa bamembe suwa wasirama by-election ya likuserenjo ujana by-election ili kuchawa ma by-election kwa kwa tapomuli wa FPND. There have been violence, terrible violence, and this party was supporting it's violent, terribly violent. Chimbi some less supporters. I mean, you more opposition. More opposition, but when you are ruling, when PS was ruling, you are terribly condemning H0ST whatever it does. You even went to an extent of finding out where he got the wealth from. Then the myself, you make sure that you can find the H0ST from your wealth. But today you are here praising. No straightforward. Inga mipando mwerisha mwempendi mukayikala pesa ali sulakali. Number 4. By UPND, there are some people who are condemning PF quality. They come up by elections, especially in rural areas. They go there, Batisa, top official paying Katesco to the chief. Katesco to the chief, they come up by elections to come up from Katesco. You want to come up by elections. Top officials from Saka UPND, top officials, going to visit the chiefs, tendering them from. Roma Chanda, Memalisha Hokushiva, Rutambi, when you are visiting the chief, Makamaka Yarachivemba. You are Mukutanda, the Yansumangu, Kuam, so I asked him, ngani muso wasinda kona ngui akakokoka mukolo akakuyasikira po kuchipango nomba benene bakula sishwa mukufikira po pakutota. They live on the churches with the warfare, with the families, red carpets at Yowela Chomba. One of the best churches in rural areas.
Okay, but will you please wind up?
Elections. Why?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr.
Straightforward. If you want to join them, just say straight out there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tubulu. Thank you very much. We have another caller. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. You're through to the political podcast. We have Honorable Sunday Chanda. Please tell us your contribution quickly so that we can give a chance to other callers.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, thank you.
Please tell us your name.
Thank you so very much. This is the voice of Mr. Speaker Shemano calling you from Kabwe.
Shemano from Kabwe.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Mr. Honorable Chanda. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes, sir. I want to find out from you, Mr. Honorable Chanda. My question to you, only 2 questions or 3 questions.
Make it 2.
Are you really happy with the way the good people of Zambia, the way they are living in terms of black shedding by not having power throughout the 4 or 5 years? Number 1. Number 2, are you happy with the people of Zambia, the way they are starving, to receive their money after working so tirelessly starving? So, are you happy with the way the government of the day is doing the farmers not to have their money that they worked for? Number 3, are you happy with the way the CDF is being undertaken in this country, Zambia, by not having a say on the same as CDF? Because we do not know where CDF is actually working from. We're just telling that people that are getting those money meant for the community development, but they're having their pockets. Are you happy with the same? Because what I actually it's more like you are not sure of what you are saying is honorable. You need to be factual and precise and give the information to the people of this country, Zambia, which will be actually expecting to hear from you. I submit. I need those questions to be clarified with immediate government.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take one more call and then we allow you to respond. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator.
Good morning, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mutare calling from Kawe.
Mr. Mutale from Kawe, please go ahead.
Honorable Mashuken.
I'm quite Mashuken.
I'm quite honorable. Myself, I'm very disappointed. Now, if I'm going to say that I'm going to go to the Tabaka. When honorable, I'm going to go to the constituents, come on, go over from a very fancy. I want to have a talk with what I everybody can get one more position. What they pay after 2 weeks in India, no man, no. So because I'm ruling a team. Now, we have a politician, you know, what you now we push about and Mukire. And to Alana Zambia Varetula. Namama, Tita and Domita, whatever was cool. But wherever I can go to one containers like a man. Eh? So we have a few one quite corruption. No matter Tava. And I put out the virus and Novata in Yahweh. The opposition never go on, but I was young. Namagua by the Tenerife Kakuno. Valuation given never have Maura, and talk about the direction here, Kasamai. Who Kasamani, Kurkasa Centur. One of your ticket. Talk about Maura, and 12 candy cutters. But then that's a remote position you are occupying on ground. Now they cut down a very Mutende. As the eyes were turned and Namuki stone. Now we put a quarter, now we put a Mwape as I was talking about PNG. In the room of Zambia now at 218. Thank you.
All right. Okay, sir. We'll allow you to maybe respond to those 3 callers, and then we'll give a chance to more callers.
Thank you. You see, one of the things I love about this country is that there's what we call freedom of expression.
Yeah.
And you see from where you stand, perceptions are very important. So kuli bamtale balande fintu fingi sana.
Right.
Abona la tampilapo bamtale balando ko bati na muchitamwalista indos ba kainde so much indos ba kainde mwene fa bantu bale chula let fama tabale fora bwango abantu imiti mufupatala tamuleva. I'm one of the persons that was actually on the ground with my farmers, Kanchbia farmers.
Right.
And I was there to witness how they would spend nights waiting for them to be paid. I would find myself inside the bank with the officials or with the workers, the staff. I would find myself with the Food Reserve Agency, officials, and I would find myself with the farmers. And one thing I said, and very clearly, was that the government made a very big mistake. In terms of this delay as we have it, yes, right. The justification was that we had a bumper harvest, and this bumper harvest exceeded what government had budgeted for. And so government took it upon itself to also buy the excess.
Right.
Now, that decision could have also been looked at differently, because the private sector could still have been allowed to move in and buy the excess,
right,
at a good price and to the benefit of the farmer. The only difference is that I'm someone who doesn't subscribe to the sort of politics where I'll come here and I'll say, hey,
you work quietly.
Number one, I work quietly, but number two, if I tell you that something is wrong, I'm also going to provide you with an alternative. I'll tell you, this is wrong, and this is what you must do about it.
Right.
Arising from my visit in the constituency and spending time with the farmers, I wrote to Parliament that I am bringing a private member's bill to address issues around late payment of farmers across the country.
Right.
I'm looking for solutions. I'm pragmatic. I can condemn the government of the day all I want to, but the mandate I have takes me back to that house. What difference am I making in terms of the law? So, bamutale, bachileshe mano kukabwe, am I happy with the cost of living? Bachileshe, if you followed my submission when we talked about economic performance, I said an area that the government has to work on has to do with arresting the cost of living. I was very clear.
Yeah. I
said fuel is high. I said electricity is high. I said the cost of food is high. So, I spoke to Bachelor. She talks about implementation of CDF. I don't know about Kabwe, but if you come to Kanchibia, I'll show you where CDF is working.
Right.
And what CDF is doing. So I'll speak for where I know. But Tubulu from Kitwe. Balando Tabachanda Mlena ndano mwenso. Shakwa to mwenso wa Tubulu. The only thing I know is that I know when to criticize, and but when I tell you, when I criticize you, I'll criticize you and I'll give you a solution. Or I'll give you what I think is a solution.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when I criticize with the objective of ensuring that I build you. Now, when you follow the issues I've brought on the floor of Parliament to date, you'll be able to tell whether I just want to do grandstanding, Sunday naranda, so totenya chadira bantu batota. But at the end of the day, what have I done to ensuring that the system serves the people of Zambia better? When we talk about political violence in this country, but political violence to learn the potaitam pidelo, and maybe from the sort of engagement, I want to believe that Batubulu should probably be above 45, maybe 50 or
right.
Diving back into the political history of this country, political violence in this country did not start today. Political violence in this country can be traced back to the UNIP days and the days of ANC. Now, there was even a time when the first president declared a state of emergency arising from political violence in this country. We know the violence which occurred when stalwarts, towering figures like the late Mr. Simon Kabwepo, then right, as former vice president, was attacked by UPND thugs, and when we had vigilantes, etc. We know the violence when MMD formed power and the machetes in Chawama and Kanyama. We know, so even when we deal with these things, for me, my approach has always been, I'll give credit where it is due.
Right.
When we say that the non-violence in Chawama is because the opposition is peaceful, we are being economical with the truth. It takes, in most instances, the party in government, especially when it senses defeat,
right,
it will unleash violence to destabilize the election process. I remember, and I know very well what happened to my elder brother, Mr. Fred Membe, in Serenge. And I didn't talk about Serenge. And I didn't say that in terms of violence, it's a clean sheet. What I said was he has been able to deal with the overt political violence. Today we've got campaigns in Kasama. There's no report of violence that I've seen. So where things are working or where someone has done good, let's tell them that here you've done good.
Right.
When the farmers wait for days and sleeping in corridors, there we must say that here you've not done good. Right. I think that is progress.
Right, indeed. We've got a caller. Good morning.
Good morning, my leader here.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm General Chongo calling from Kabwe.
General Chongo from Kabwe. Go ahead with your contribution.
Sunday Chanda Kale Varika. Morning, Sunday Chanda.
Good morning, my General Chongo.
Thank you. Here in Kabwe, I have just a few questions to ask you. One, Sunday Chanda, iliyo mwale kita aspiring pa PF, mwale konde ma government ilipo kutia kita ya kabombe wina chiwa mivotera avene kanchiria. Today you are in office, and again the same government you are condemning. Today you are dancing songs that they have delivered. What makes you to be like that? First question is the government delivered a lot of promises. They said the Zambians will be eating 3 meals a day. There will be no more of the shedding. 50 million will be reduced. And fertilizer 250. Lastly, what has made the farmers to be the worst in the history of Zambia for their payments? While the UPND, when they were campaigning, they said 2 weeks' time they will deliver the farmers. What has made them very solutions to fail?
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've got another caller. Good morning.
Hello,
Mutili Bueno Mulibwanji Mdala. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Evans Drake intumira kwa Chazanga.
Drake Evans from Chazanga. Please go ahead.
Yeah, naposha kuna wa Sunday Chanda kwa mene ku studio. Ine nikalibe nilichana mafunzo chabe ya ngono sinza kamba vambiri. Sunday Chanda musheni mwe ba PF na uni mwe ba UPND nde funzo number 1. Funzo number 2 nyakutati Sunday Chanda nimipempa kuti this year my election mukaimire pa ticket ya UPND not ya PF, because according na my explanation na makambido yangu muli bangati muli 5 bamene muli mu chani munkupo ya chani ya shipi, but mkati nimwe mimbulu muli against muli ma traitors. So lipo kamba hivyo munikulurukire, but ndeva mine I'm feeling like mwaona. So Sunday Chanda yamine mukamba chi development nangu CDF anyway sininga kambe vambiri but muzani yankako kuti muchita belong ku party iti ni ku PF na ku UPND ushedisi mzamira patiketi party zikom.
Okay, zikomo kwambiri. We'll pick one more call and then we can allow you to respond. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Kitwe. This is Phiri.
From Kitwe? Your name again?
Yes. Yes.
Your name?
Good morning, Mr. Sunday Chanda.
Good morning, thank you.
Mr. Chanda, just want to say thank you for coming sana. You are a good leader, and I followed you on Facebook. I love the way you spoke. From Landa, from Lankola, and continue the same spirit and your leadership that you have. This is Charles from Copper Belt, Quito.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe you can respond to the two callers. Madam Charity is just giving you kudos. Or perhaps we just pick one more. I've seen this one has been persistent. Good morning.
Hello, morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, this is William Ngenda within Bowlen.
Mr. Ngenda from Baleni. Go ahead.
Yes. Basande Chanda Mokobo.
Bueno, boy.
Awezi taukabwe. Yes, nifuno funza wasande Chanda. Uche August muzaimiri landa PF o mukaribo panga plan. Because why nafunza so nimvera even makola zide nina ma officials wena ngom PF the way bakambira makambati mwe ba UPND so my siniziva la mupulano mimi na pa PF ni wandano wazaka kupasani adoption letter kozi so far tina ma kapani 3 faction ya PF kuli inango led by wa plan munduvire inango ina wachavinga inango ya given nuvire songa muna plan wembili la pa PF ticket sinizi wa kuside kwe muliri ziko.
All right. Okay. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Now, let me start with Mr. William Ngenda. Thank you so much for your questions. Very important questions.
Yeah.
And I think as William Ngenda has rightly put it, if adoption certificates were to be given today, the only one who can give adoption certificates in Patriotic Front is Mr. Chavinga.
Right.
That is where we are today.
Yeah.
And earlier in my program, I said that I said, and I repeat, and I think in answering by Ngenda, I think I'll also be answering by Evans.
Right. Same
from
questions.
Chazanga,
Yeah.
who called me a traitor. And but I don't mind. What I've put across as my submission is that, number one, the state of the Patriotic Front today is not a secret for anyone with eyes and anyone with ears. Abakwata menso, abakwata matwi, they're able to see that this is what is happening. And there's no genuine Zambian who is not worried with the state of affairs in the Patriotic Front.
Right.
Now, maybe we must also ask ourselves, how did we find ourselves here? Excuse me. At one point, PF loses power. Then Mr. Mao Sampa holds what he called a convention, and he grabs PF from President Edgar Lungu. Mr. Mao Sampa goes and works with Mr. Chavinga. Mr. Chavinga dribbles Mr. Mao Sampa, and Mr. Chavinga becomes president of the Patriotic Front. Today, Mr. Evans from Chazanga, Naba Chitumaba Kukabwe, by General Chongo, they would want to forget that my brother, Mr. Mao Sampa, is the one who got us here. PF is where it is today because of Mr. Mao Sampa. He's my brother. But I want to say it as it is.
Right.
We are here, we are where we are today because of my brother. Had he not done what he did, would not be here. And so, To come and then blame anyone at this point is actually being economical with the truth. Let us face facts as they are. Now, I also made a submission that at the rate PF is moving, the chances of PF not being or not appearing on the ballot paper in 2026 are reducing every other day. And I want by William Mungenda, I want by Evans, I want by General Chongo to remember and to mark my words. In Bemba we say, you have 10 or so people wanting to become PF presidents. At this point, this is January, going into February, we should have had one person as leader of the Patriotic Front. Today, you have my brother Bran Mundubile and those in his campaign team served with disciplinary letters. And I said earlier that we don't know what will come out of those disciplinary letters. What is the offense? Because Mundubile is campaigning, he's making structures, etc. Without addressing the elephant in the room is PF's unity. You want to continue suspending each other and expelling each other and ABCD. And then, with that, under that environment, you expect that you can go into a general election as a formidable force. That is also called a joke.
Right.
What needs to happen is to say, what is the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is PF's unity of purpose. Today, that unity of purpose is non-existent. The more reason earlier, I alluded to the dynamics around the special purpose vehicle. Now, the moment you get a special purpose vehicle, that special purpose vehicle then becomes a party to replace the PF after the election. And then what you are saying is that the PF as we know it would have died.
Yeah.
These are the facts, and I don't know why people don't want to. You see, Ngaparich Pute, don't mabula vaseline mwambo kura chisuba. If Ngaparich Pute wouldn't yakareza chile pleme mutine amafina. The brutal truth is that it doesn't matter what anybody wants to do in terms of massaging this problem. This problem is bigger than what, in fact, some of my colleagues would be saying.
Can I ask you this, Honorable? What is Honorable Chabinga's end game? Because, as you put it, he's the one with, officially right now, legally, he's the one with the papers for the PF. But it doesn't sound like he wants to mobilize as PF. He sits quietly, at least from what it seems. So what is his end game? Is he happy, if we go by what you're saying, that come post-election, the PF is dead? Is he happy with that situation?
Well, I mean, I would not speak for him. I wish I was his spokesperson.
I would like to come. I think we'll invite him here.
The best would be to bring him on this program,
right?
And let him come and speak to the issues. But what I've given you is a genesis of these problems.
Right.
PF, after we lost the 2021 election, PF had a postmortem to review what it is that went wrong. And there was a team which went around the country, collected submissions from ordinary citizens. Why did PF lose power? That postmortem report is there. That postmortem report is there. Very strong recommendations, and I was privileged to see that postmortem report. Unfortunately, no one wants to address the issues which were raised in that postmortem report. So if you want to talk about rebranding, let's get to the postmortem report and start from there.
Right. We've got a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please speak up. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Daliso Kaunde calling you from Kawe.
Daliso Kaunde from Kawe. Please go ahead.
Okay, I think I've been following this program from the beginning.
Right.
And my comment would be, I think Honorable Chanda is just another Chavinga who went to the private school. Because in his preamble, he started very well, but he's not stating clearly which party he belongs to as at now. When you talk of, I was in Mpika in a few days' time, when you speak of the current the economy, things are bad in Mpika. You witnessed a situation where farmers are lining up a long queue looking for their money that to be paid. Now, what is your state? What are you saying about that, Honorable? You have a large number of products from Kashggi.
Right.
But those people do not know whether you are PF and UPND now. I think the header I submit.
Thank you very much. Interestingly, maybe because we'll be winding up soon, I will maybe, as you give your final remarks, Honorable, that maybe just state it clear. But please call us 0979 rather 192 485 or 0955 997 997. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. Tell us your name and you're calling us from.
Yes, this is Brian Makalicha calling from Livingston.
Brian Makalicha from Livingston. Please go ahead.
Yes. Shani wa Sande Chanda.
Where am I Shani?
Mkwae. Basande Chanda, mulera nda fishing kasana. Abantu abengi, I think politics yalingira mu mitwe. Whether ukisuma, ukechibibena, kulia kuinoko wa bake sana kulia tilaikinga ninevo PF. UPND nga yakisuma nango ichitechibi ine na la supporta sie yasini ngaba ku PF. But imwe mwaba pakati na pakati. Ikisuma mulanda kati ichi chawama. Ichibi mulanda kati ichibi. So abantu bala tula understand muye. So nomba ine na baka pia nishikwa appreciate but ndande fishing kwa abantu abengi kila bekata kumutima tabachitanani. So twatotera mupitirishe imwe bari mitemwa sana. So mupitirishe ne mulera nda otherwise yamwa kwataka patulula mwaba pakati na pakati. Twatotera.
All right, thank you very much. We'll pick one more call and then allow you to respond. Then we can close the show. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and you're calling us from.
Yes, Pangono, didn't Ngenda. I want Mr.
Is this Mr. Ngenda from Bowling?
Yes, I want Mr. Sanda to clarify something. Yes. Bachanda.
Mkwai.
Yes, in Nigeria, using a chinyanja, nimafuna abantu bazishi understand. So, your special vehicle eba using our PF. See, it doesn't mean te ujamuntu afuni konkara president wa ija party. Afuni ko resign from his party or her party to join that special purpose vehicle or inkala bwanji. Mwebali, for example, mwewazingira FDD. Let's assume to say brand mundu bile taking over PF bankara ndiye ba president. So baby for taking over utiva using a special vehicle ya FDD. Teba fungo resign PF to join FDD kozi ku register of society bafuna ejeba makamba to say at the office bearers badi 10 bajama members wa mafuna o inkala bwanji. Yes, okay. They nifuna nishite ku find out. Yes.
Okay, zuko kwambili. Thank you. All right, just one more call, then we can close. Okay, we missed that. Hello, good morning. All right, I think we can close phone lines. Let me give you a chance to respond to Mr. Ngenda as well as the other caller, and then maybe I'll ask just one question to close the show.
Right. So Mr. Ngenda asks a very important question. But
Right.
Ngenda question my pusher, it is very important.
Right.
You know, it's very important. So, special purpose vehicle. For someone to lead this special purpose vehicle, and I gave an example.
Right.
If we say that PF will use FDD as a special purpose vehicle, for anyone from PF to become president of FDD as a presidential candidate, they will have to resign from the Patriotic Front.
Right.
Because you cannot be Patriotic Front and FDD at the same time. There's no dual membership. Huh? You have to let go of where you belong to become president of the special purpose vehicle.
Right.
The more reason, even members of parliament, those who will stand as members of parliament, those who will stand as councillors, cannot be said to belong to another political party when you are standing on a different political party.
Right.
So you'd have relinquished your membership with your former party to join the new party called the Special Purpose Vehicle. My brother, who just won Chawama, is FDD. If he comes on the floor of parliament and identifies himself as a member of the Patriotic Front, someone will raise a point of order and someone will say he has crossed the floor. Remember the case of Mr. Chimba Kambwidi and NDC?
Yes.
He was PF, but on the floor of parliament, he admitted to be associated with NDC.
Yeah.
A point of order was raised by then Eastern Province Minister and my good brother, Mr. Zulu Makebi.
Makebi, yes.
And that triggered and kicked Mr. Kambwidi out of parliament. So even my brother who's been elected in Chawama will not come to parliament and say he's PF. If he does that, a point of order will be raised on him. And that will cause him into, that will get him into trouble.
Back into trouble, yeah.
So these are the dynamics. It's one thing to say that we are using a special purpose vehicle, but in essence, what it means that anyone who is going to stand on this special purpose vehicle's ticket, whether it's New Congress Party, if you stand on New Congress Party, you are no longer a member of the Patriotic Front, you're a member of the New Congress Party. You have resigned from the Patriotic Front to join this new party. This is what it means. And unfortunately, you know, people don't want to face the ugly truth. But this is ugly truth. Even when people want to make a decision, it's important that people make a decision that is informed by what is really going to happen on the ground. But Brian from Livingston, thank you for your kind words. But Daliso from Kabwe says that another Chabinga went to a private school. To the contrary, actually, I mean, like, let's break it down.
Yeah.
I went to a government school, you know, I mean, my primary was government, my secondary was government through and through. The only thing is that I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
I'll give you my perception of things. So if you tell me something good, I'll tell you something is good. If you ask me, is something bad, I'll tell you it's bad. But I'm not just going to end there. I'm not someone who's given to armchair criticism. If I criticize you, I'll provide you with alternatives or what I think could be alternatives. What makes me think what you've done is wrong? And what do I think needs to be the right way to go? This is where I'm coming from, and that is my school of thought. So when he went to Mpika and he paints a very correct picture of what he found on the ground and exactly what I found on the ground. I was in Mpika attending to my people who had queued up and still in Mpika waiting to be paid manually by the banks. And what I said was, arising from that experience, Badaliso,
right.
I am bringing a private member's bill to Parliament to address this particular problem. This problem is not just in Mpika. This problem is in Chomba, it's in Chipata. I was on my way back from the constituency. I drove through Kapiri and I found those long queues.
Right.
I drove through Kabwe, I found those long queues. This is a problem that is countrywide. And how do we ensure that going forward we have a piece of legislation where we're looking at ways of reforming how farmers can be paid in this country?
Right.
This is not just a partisan problem. It's not just this political problem. This is a matter that all of us, especially those of us who are members of parliament, what solutions are we bringing to that August House?
Right.
For me, this is very important. Progressively, what can we do together? Someone said that when I was in the opposition, and when I was media director for the Patriotic Front,
right,
and I was President Hakainde Hichilema as probably the harshest critic, I would criticize him every day and every week.
Right.
And he's become president, and I am a member of parliament. I went into Kashggi, and I looked at the problems and the issues and the gaps in Kashggi, the inadequate infrastructure in Kashggi, which still exists today. I looked at the problems we inherited from 1964. I looked at the problems I found in 2021. And I look at what I've been able to do on my watch over the last 5 years. And I said, where something is working, and I will say this through the lenses of what we have done for the people of Kashggi, and I will say this is working.
Right.
Where things are not working, I've not shied away from saying that this needs to change. For example, just a few days ago, I spoke about the delayed, the postponement with regard to negotiations between public service unions and the government. And when something is not working, I'll call it out.
Right.
When something is working, I am someone who said this is working, and we need to give this man a pat on the back. Where he's not working, or said this is not working, and we need to change what needs to change.
Honorable, we are winding up. I'll ask you one question, and I would like you to just give a clear answer. Where are you standing? On which platform are you standing in 2026?
I'll stand on the Kashggi platform.
No, I'm not satisfied. Explain.
You're not satisfied. Now,
so you are going independent?
The people of Kashggi will have options.
Right.
And the options are either independent or on a political party.
Right.
On a political party, someone said, are you standing on UPND? If I say, no, I'm standing on UPND, I don't, and I cannot nominate myself. I think that, in all fairness, that would be UPND's call.
Right.
I would not nominate myself. The only thing I can say with confidence is if I said I'm going independent.
Okay.
Because then that becomes my own choice.
If UPND called for you to stand, would you join them?
Then we would get to the table. What is important would be to look at what is Kashggi's development agenda. So there has to be a social contract.
Right.
What are the people of Kashggi expecting from the UPND over the next 5 years? That becomes very important. And remember that people are no longer, by and large, voting along or for political parties.
Right.
In most instances, Zambians have gotten to a point where they would want to vote for one's track record. Delivery. Have I been able to deliver for the people of Kashggi?
Right.
It's a question that the people of Kashggi will put to test as we go into the election.
Right.
Has Chanda been able to deliver? And if Chanda has been able to deliver, then we can elect him. In terms of the vehicle, political parties are vehicles. Like I said, sometimes we want to be limited and also reinvent and rewrite history.
Right.
In this country, we had UNIP before. Nobody ever thought that UNIP would cease to exist. In this country, we had MMD before. Nobody ever thought MMD would cease to exist. In this country, we had the former ruling party. And if the rate and the manner in which the disunity and the lack of cohesiveness, as we have seen it, continues even over the next 2-3 months, then you can as well forget that there would be another vibrant opposition. Maybe something else will be birthed elsewhere. But what will be is that the PF, as we knew it, would have gone. And these are realities and informed by empirical evidence coming from the past, and not a far distant past. Some of it is a recent past. And sadly, people would want to believe that society undergoes collective amnesia. So we want to forget that we once had UNIP in this country. UNIP, Munino, Waikata Kowapia. We had in Koloko in this country. Nobody ever imagined that MMD would lose power. Nobody. Nobody imagined that PF would lose power. Nobody. And I can say it, that even the UPND, if someone says the UPND is until 2090, you are being economic with the truth.
Right. Honorable, thank you so much for coming through the Political Podcast. It was insightful, and hope to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Any closing remarks to your people back home and also to general public with regards the next 4 or 5 months?
The next 4 or 5 months will be very critical, very crucial. Number one, I think what's important is for us to continue preserving and promoting the peace and unity in this country. But most importantly, it's also important that as we go for elections, we don't just vote because we want to vote. Let us vote because we know that we are assured of what will come out of this particular product. And I can say on this platform that with regard to this political party, I'm standing on this political party. I'll come back on this particular platform, and I'll make a very clear announcement. Very, very clear announcement. As it is, we are consulting the people. The people of Kashggi are speaking to me. They're talking to me. And in no uncertain terms, I know how the picture looks like. But this is not anything that I would want to preempt right now, because remember that Parliament is still in session.
Right.
I'm a member of Parliament, and I don't want to say anything here which will then be used against me and compromise me, compromise my standing as I go back to the House. But truth be said, that the options are you either stand and there's a political vehicle, but there's also the independent, which is also another option.
Right.
But the people of Kashggi are very clear on what direction we need to go.
Fantastic.
And at the right time, we'll come and announce the roadmap going ahead into the election.
All right. That's clear enough. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Power FM.
Right.
Great opportunity, and thank you for inviting me.
Right. There you have it. That's the Political Podcast today. We had Honorable Chanda, MP for Kashggi. I think he has been clear. Most of you really wanted to get it from the horse's mouth, but at least he's given us a holding response for now. We'll have him back once he's ready to tell us whether he'll be UPND, independent, or any other SPV that comes along. My name is Yowela Chomba. Thank you so much for those that tuned in. Until next week. Goodbye.
This has been the Political Podcast. Be sure to tune in.